Yeah,
So you didn't stay in Texas the whole time. You did have a 5 year stretch in Atlanta, Georgia,
I did.
which is also another very very happening scene for music of all genres. How did that kind of change your trajectory musically, heading over there for a while?
Well, I was hired by a club to be a part of the house band there at Cowboys Dance Hall in Kennesaw, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. And so we played 5 nights a week, which is kind of unheard of these days. But yeah, we played 5 nights a week. But every Friday, we would uh, have a national act come in, and we would open for them. So that was again like going to school because I would do my show and then come right back out and watch their show and watch how they do. Maybe see what worked, what didn't work, what I might could incorporate into my show and stuff like that. So I had something every week, and better way to learn, you
Yeah, there's
know?
a lot of trial by fire there, isn't there? Right, like you
Oh
get to
yeah, oh
do and
yeah.
try things in a real interactive environment. Um, as a live performer, that has to be instrumental to you. Over, I mean, you did this what 5 years? You said
Yeah, yeah, five
so. A
years.
5 year residency where you're essentially live every weekday night, and then you get to hang out with some of the biggest stars on Friday as well. Get to see how they're doing things. And are you a
Hmm.
sponge during those times and kind of
Oh
taking
my
notes
gosh.
on those people?
Oh yes. Yes, I really was. I was taking notes. I learned a lot about on stage and off stage, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so I think it was huge for me.
So, did you have any bad experiences? Because a lot of times your heroes kids don't fall; they fall short sometimes. You don't have to name names if you don't want to, but was there any bad?
Um, yeah, I wouldn't talk bad about any of them. There were some I liked more than others.
Right?
Um,
Were there
Probably
some
the
that were
high.
more open and helping a young artist out? There's a better question. Let's go positive instead of
Yeah,
negative.
yeah, there were. Richie McDonald from Lone Star. Just we just hit it off and hung out together. Aaron Tippin, he was so cool. He was wanting me to go work out with him the next morning. I'm like, fool, I'm not working out with you.
That's very
I
smart.
have no business working out in a gym with you.
Yep. No, none at all. Oh man, he's built like
No,
a
but probably the highlight was opening for Merle Haggard there,
yeah.
and it was towards the end of his career. It was amazing.
And that's something you'd take with you the rest of your life, man. Like I've shared a stage with Merle Haggard. That's insane.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Who all
it's
can say that? So yeah,
not
that's
too
pretty.
many. That's for sure. So are you writing songs at this point too in your Atlanta days?
Um, well, it's funny you mentioned that because the same week I was hired there, there was an artist that didn't have a record deal anymore. His name was Davis Daniel,
I remember Davis. Yeah,
fighting fire with fire.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they hired him the same week. So Davis and I not only sang together 5 nights a week, but I got him. I had a little day job that I was working, and I got him on with me. So we were pretty much around each other 24/7. And he was a lot farther along in songwriting than I was. So he kind of dipped my toes into that arena. But yeah, I wrote a lot with him back
Nice.
then.
Yeah, I remember him, man. He was with Polygram when Polygram was still around, trying to
Yeah, I
get
want to
into the
say
country.
Shania and Toby Keith were
Right.
both on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. He was a great artist, a really great writer too. So you must have learned a lot from that as well, right? Just kind of sponge.
Yeah.
Are you typically a sponge? Is that your go-to anyway?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna try to soak it all in
Yeah.
and take the good and the bad and compartmentalize everything.
Yeah, and that's going to go back to those lessons, right? Staying humble, because if you're an egotist, then you're not going to even be open to learning, right? So,
Well, this is true too.
yeah,
If you're not trying to get better, you might as well quit. I don't care
absolutely,
how good you are. Always
completely
try to
agree.
make yourself
I
better.
did not even know that you took some pointers from Davis Daniel. That's pretty cool. That's a good little a clip for this show. I love that. Um, here's a question for you, because I know for folks that are really good at sponging things up and kind of paying attention to everything that's around you all the time, you're playing 5 nights a week. And I imagine this is probably a high energy kind of thing, because I've seen some of your shows before. You don't half ass it. So, what do those high energy shows really? What did you learn from that to become a better artist overall? Do you think?
Yeah, at the time when I moved over there, obviously I'm a huge Chestnut and Tracy Bird, Clay
Right.
Walker, but of most of all a George Strait fan. So that's what I was used to here. Going there, it was, I mean, Travis Tritt came from there. I mean, he was pretty rowdy,
Yeah.
and I had to step up my game if I wanted to keep my job. So yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah. Because I feel like, man, there's so many aspects to being an artist, right? Especially if you're an indie artist. You have to be a performer. You have to be a songwriter. I mean, you don't have to be a songwriter per se, but it damn sure helps to be a songwriter, to kind of feed your own well, so to speak. But of course, you're also going to do your own press, your own, your editing. Everything is you. So I'd love to hear from an artist how they're kind of learning all of this stuff. I think it was India Ramey who. It's funny. She's also from the Atlanta area, or Rome originally. But she said if I didn't know it, I had to learn it, and that's essentially an indie artist, right?
It's sink or swim.
Right. Yeah. And you have nobody else to blame but yourself. I feel if you do sink, and you deserve the credit if you swim. By God,
Yeah.
Um, so you return to Texas. You start releasing studio records and things like that in Texas. What was the initial reaction to that when you first come back and you're releasing music?
So when I came back, I had been gone for 5 years, and then when I come back, there's something called the Texas music scene that I was not aware of.
Yes, yeah, it's brand new, right?
And they were playing the kind of music that I really liked because I got homesick being over there. The style of music is completely different over there. I just missed real country music, and so I get here, I get back home, and the Texas scene is really taken off, and I'm like, oh, I want to be a part of this. So, man, it's another blessing. I did a show with this kid in Jasper, Texas, probably probably about 15 to 17 years ago. His name was Cody Johnson.
Golly.
He had just quit his job working at the prison in Huntsville, and was nervous, didn't know what he was going to do. Was hoping things worked out, which I'd say they
Doing
have.
pretty
But
well, yeah.
he had just recorded an album with Trent Willman, and he was like, "Man, you need to call Trent. He's in Nashville, but he's a Texas boy. He's going to know what you're looking for." So yeah, I have to say I'm standing on the shoulders of Cody and Trent both, because it opened up a lot of doors that would probably have never opened for me to begin with.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about Trent here in a little while. But you're playing. Just rewind just a little bit. I wanted to ask you a question about playing 5 nights a week for 5 years. Then you come back to Texas. Is there any burnout from you at that point, just from playing so much all the time? Like, and now you're writing. I assume you're writing now at this point as well. So, do you take kind of a hiatus from performing and focus more on the songwriting?
Man, I didn't. I got with the band and we played probably 4 nights a week.
Golly.
right off the bat.
So you just really love it then, huh?
And I was thinking at the time that I took it, I was thinking, well, I'm going to do this, maybe for maybe 6 months or so, and then I'll find something. Look, it was another 4 or 5 years before I got out of that bed, but
Wow.
it was just, I didn't have to do anything but show up and play. They did all the booking. I didn't have to do anything. So um, it was, it was very easy, but hard at the same time to step away from.
Hmm. It's a lot of playing live, man. So, like I
It
said,
was.
must be a lot of passion for
I
performing.
definitely paid my dues,
Yeah, for sure.
but I wasn't going to grow there, unless I stepped out on my own.
Of course,
So,
yeah, yeah, and that makes sense from an artistic standpoint. And I definitely want to talk to Donice more about his songwriting and a really interesting classification of the genre that he
hmm.
that he calls himself. I'm really excited to pick his brain about that.